Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line.
Fresh out.
We got the brother Loon. Welcome home.
What's good?
How's
man,
everything?
Happy to be home. It's good, man.
Good to see you.
It's been a journey. It definitely was a journey, but it was an enlightening journey. From the outside looking in, things can be perceived, as something like harsh or horrific, but in all actuality, it definitely gave me opportunity to grow. It gave me opportunity to, invest in the time that I was given, to get clarity on a lot of things and, increasing where I was at before I left,
Before we get into your journey, man, I need you to clear something up because, Envy has told us this story a million times. I don't know if it's true or not, but you saved his life in Harlem.
Oh man, come on, Envy, man. You told him the story.
Harlem, and I said somebody said something
crazy. You saved his life, Loon.
I didn't say that. I said.
Wait, let's hear Loon tell the story.
And I said,
want to hear Loon tell the story. We've heard your story, Envy. I want to hear Loon's version.
Yeah, I want to see if it matches up.
Hold up. Normally now, I got a memory like an elephant. So Envy gonna have to enlighten me, and I could chime in. And I could affirm what's official and what's not.
We were in Harlem, and somebody said something crazy to Loon, and Loon said, "If you see a sucker, smack a sucker." And
okay,
whatever happened after that? He said, "It sounded like me." The word wasn't sucker, but it was way back then.
Yeah, that's when my vocabulary was a little limited. You know what I'm saying? Now I can talk. You know what I'm saying?
Hey Yee, why does nobody ever know Envy war stories?
I don't know. Envy always has some story about getting his life saved, and no one knows these stories.
Hey, Charlamagne.
I didn't say my life was saved. I just said I was in Harlem with Loon. I never said
remember the time he
saved my
was in the club and he got
came to my
squeaked by
Nelly.
Nelly's story was true. That was Nelly's security. That story is true.
Nelly said he don't remember that.
Hey, check it out. Charlamagne, in his defense, they didn't have social media back then. So, it's kind of hard to document these things.
True.
See, right now, everything a person do, like it get caught on camera, and is allocated across the world,
I guess if you're the one that was like scared, you probably remember it more.
Well, I wasn't scared. It had nothing to do with it. I think we might have been there to MTV. I don't know what we were doing walking through Harlem. It had nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do with me. I was just telling you that, Loon. Welcome home.
All right, but
welcome home.
Yes, welcome home, Loon. Now let's flash back to the beginning, right? Because Loon, you were signed to Bad Boy. You were part of Harlem World. So let's talk about that period of time, for you, because Loon was popping.
Well, even getting to that point, y'all know how it was back in those days, in the industry, it was definitely a lot more grueling than it is now. I think this generation has the means to actually propel their own careers into, success. But I was originally signed to Tommy Boy Records. Scoop the Fat Man signed me before he left.
Wow.
Yeah, Scoop the Fat Man signed me. Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah.
He signed me, and then he left, and then they kind of fell out of sync of what we was doing because, Fat Man Scoop was the guy from the street that understood, what we was doing at the time, and the name of the album was Harlem World. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But then Mace came out in '97, you know what I'm saying, and incorporated the same, title and the same movement, and he became the originator of the Harlem World movement. So because those things were understood internally, I think he felt compelled to come back and say, "Yo, Loon, I'm gonna do the Harlem World group." Now the Harlem World group was supposed to consist of me, Big L, Cameron, Herb McGruff, and Mace.
That'd have been crazy.
Wow. Now that's a
movement.
Yeah,
that was it. So, that's what definitely compelled me to want to sign on. But because of the relationship that Mace had with Herb and L, at the time, it wasn't it wasn't where it should have been. So we had to go with the alternative, which was Baby Stace, my man Blinky Blink, Mino, and Huddy Combs. So that was, supposed to be like the segue from the Harlem World project that Mace put out. But prior to me doing that project, I was signed to Arista at the time now.
Wow.
You know, so I had, I was signed to Arista. So the agreement that I had with Clive Davis when Mace proposed the Harlem World Group, really I asked, his permission, like, can I use this Harlem World situation as a, as a vehicle to propel my solo career when I come back to Arista? Because I was actually locked into Arista. Clive could have said no, and there would never been no Loon in the Harlem World Group. So Clive Davis gave me the opportunity to do the Harlem World project, and still came back to Arista, even with the minimal success of the Harlem World project. I still had a home at Arista. Right. You know what I'm saying? Then the next transitional phase was Clive leaves, go to J Records. So I'm at Arista now with L.A. Reid. And L.A. Reid had, some big shoes to fill. He had his whole team from LaFace, and I kind of wasn't in the loop of all that. So Mark Pitts at the time was my manager. And when he assumed the position as an A&R, it was kind of like a conflict of interest. So Mark was like, check it. I heard Puff, because you wrote for Puff before on the Forever album. I heard he's down in Miami. He's doing this, this Bad Boy compilation thing. So it was arranged for me to go down there for 4 days and write 2 songs. I ended up staying 4 weeks and I wrote 11 songs. And everything from there was history. You know what I'm saying? That was basically, in a nutshell, my whole climb from the very beginning, coming all the way through, you know what I'm saying?
You know what's so interesting about that? When you was on Bad Boy, everybody looked at it as Loon is kind of the Mace clone, the Mace replacement. Yeah. But come to find out, I guess he was your blueprint?
I wouldn't say that. I just say that at the time, we were all aware of, each other's, striving to get in the business, you know what I'm saying? Because Herb McGruff was really the first, if you really want to be technical. He was on Uptown Records. Yeah.
Right.
Really want to be technical. Herb, exactly.
What's on your mind?
Okay. So Herb McGruff was first when you really want to be technical. And then Mace just happened to be in a better situation. So like I said, it was a vibe that was circulating through, Harlem. But as far as establishing the title of Harlem World, that definitely was, that was my baby at first, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what made you fall back off music? Because, you were writing, you put out platinum singles, you were on platinum singles, and your career was doing great. You were making a lot of money, you were on tours.
And the ladies loved Loon. The ladies loved Loon also.
LL Cool Loon, and the ladies loved Loon. So what
and you saved Envy's life.
You did not save my life, but anyway.
That's crazy, yeah.
What made you fall back from the music?
Well, the thing is, first and foremost, music is not permissible in Islam. Even though you have a lot of Muslims out there, who have some deficiencies in their faith, where they may, incorporate certain things in their practice or their daily practice that contradicts the religion of Islam. When I found Islam, and one thing about me, Envy, and everybody, I never straddled. Anything I ever did, I was always 10 toes in, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the kind of person I am, you know what I'm saying? I commit to something, I'm loyal to that, and that's just, how I move. So when I found Islam, which I really wasn't looking for, religion, because like I left Bad Boy Records, I tried to start my own company, which is Boss Up Records. Mm-hmm. And when I started traveling overseas and touring and stuff, I started noticing I had a very strong presence overseas, but I couldn't find no material out there. It was like no CDs or nothing. It was almost like nothing got shipped overseas, but it was like I'm doing sold out joints, you know what I'm saying? I'm being well received and so on and so forth. So as I'm making this attempt to salvage my career, you know what I'm saying, after leaving Bad Boy, I started finding myself bumping into Islam a lot. So these experiences kind of, stuck to me, starting with like a trip to Senegal, then I went to Kazakhstan, and then when I went to Dubai. So I became Muslim in Abu Dhabi, which is the city right next to Dubai. Mm-hmm. And once I found Islam, and everything that, I acquired of knowledge and understanding of religion, I try to adhere to. And then that's from a religious perspective. Now, as far as personally, all y'all know from being in whatever area of the industry, you know what I'm saying, there's a certain repetitiveness that goes with the lifestyle. You understand? Like we wake up every day, we do this every day, you know what I'm saying, for the people and so on and so forth. But there's some type of repetitiveness that happens through the course of that. And the consistent cycle of sinning, which was actually perceived as fun and games and so on and so forth, was something that started to eat at me. So I had a legislated purpose of leaving music, and at the same time, I had my personal experiences that, you know, detached me from, you know, the music based on, you can't have the music without the lifestyle. See, a lot of people think they can separate this stuff, you know what I'm saying? This is kind of like, you know, the excuses we make to keep going. But for me, I know it's not a one-off. So if I'm gonna detach myself from the lifestyle, I have to detach myself from everything that conforms with the lifestyle. So that's what made it easy for me to just abstain from music in totality. And it's been 12 years since I actually listened to the radio.
So, wow. You know, it's interesting you say that, because the internet says that, you know, because they always talk about the bad boy curse. And they say Loon got into Islam because of the evils that he experienced in the industry, in particular at Bad Boy. But you was already off Bad Boy. Yeah,
I was already off Bad Boy. And that's the thing. See, same thing like we said before about the statement of, you know, the whole Mace thing. Because they said the same thing about Fab. He's from Brooklyn.
Right.
Facts, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is, when something is new, we always try to find something, you know, prior to that we can identify with it. You know what I'm saying? So that just becomes a part of our, you know, process of, you know, processing things. Is like we have to look at it, analyze it, and try to compare it before, you know, we allow that situation or that thing to take its own form. So I never really was like affected by that, because I felt like, okay, cool. He was first. He was the iPhone. I'm the Samsung. I'm coming from behind. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I just got to keep upgrading my technology till people recognize that is the difference between Android and Apple. You know what I'm saying?
What made you leave Bad Boy? What was the thing that said, you know what, I want to leave? Because y'all were on a run of all runs at that time.
Yeah, at that time, you know, it was a beautiful time. But I think that there was it was certain events that were taking place, you know, professionally and personally. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I believe that, you know, being in the presence of a person like Puff. Puff is a mogul. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Puff has a huge impact on hip hop and hip hop history. So to come from up underneath that is almost like, you know, it's almost like Mission Impossible. It's very difficult for a person to give you your own identity when you're in the presence of somebody who actually is an artist himself. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, you know, people kind of misconstrue the conflict or the issues that come out of Bad Boy, because your CEO is an artist. You know what I'm saying? He's an artist. Right. It's different from, you see the success of other individuals who their CEO is not an artist. So that means the investment in the artist, you know what I'm saying, may be a little bit more, you know, intense, opposed to someone who has to kind of ration some off and keep some from himself. You know what I'm saying? Because he's an artist, and that's what artists do. So me looking at the business as, you know, as a business, I never came in this business like, you know, you throw a chain on my neck and it's like I just played the little homie role. It's like, no, I came in as a business. Because what a lot of people don't know, when I Need a Girl Part 1 and 2, video when all was released, I still wasn't signed to Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? So we had 12,000 spend a week. You know, we got 2 major videos out there. These are #1 records, and I still wasn't signed on paper. You know what I'm saying? So
were you compensated? Were you compensated properly for that?
I owned my publishing. You know what I'm saying? I own everything. You know, anything that ever came out of my mouth, I own. Because like I said, I came into it as a business. You know what I'm saying? Coming from the street was a business to me. It was never personal. Like what I did in the street was business. So I came into the music business aware of what I was getting into. Because, you know, a lot of people, they get off the porch and they don't really, you know, analyze, you know, the repercussions of the choices they make. They just look at the accolades. You know what I'm saying? I can get a car, I can get some money, I can do all this. But you don't think about the consequences that come with if you don't play the game right, you know? So the same thing with the music. When I came into the music business, I educated myself on how the business works from, you know, contractual, you know, standpoint, and how I need to function as an artist who is working with a CEO who's an artist, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when these records took off, it actually gave me bargaining power. It actually gave me leverage to negotiate a deal with Puff that really nobody else ever negotiated. So like when you hear other artists that came from Bad Boy, they plights about publishing and stuff like that. I remember one time, you know, my man, you know what I'm saying, I love him to death. When Jaden was on the radio one time, you know, getting that puff about the publishing. So somebody had the audacity to call me.
Classic.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody had called me like, yo, Loon, why you ain't call up there? And I'm like, dog, I own my publishing. Like, I don't have this problem. You understand?
Right. You get what you negotiate.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You could come into this business seeking fame. You can get that. That's a handoff. That, you know what I'm saying? That comes with the introduction, you know? But if you didn't come in here to get money, then, you know what I'm saying, you can be blindsided by the desire to just want to be seen, want to be heard. You understand? I want to be seen, I want to be heard, but I want to be paid. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I look at, you know, from a distance, how the industry is now. These young kids are pretty much in control of their careers. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, if they start their business from the ground up, then they control it all the way through. But like I said, in our generation, it was different. You know what I'm saying? It was different. They had set standard budgets for new artists, period. I don't care how hot you was, it was a new artist budget. Like, you know what I'm saying? You was going to get 8 points. You was going to get a minimum of like, you know, $350,000, you know what I'm saying, advance and stuff like that. You know, it was real, it was real, like, you know, structured before. Mm-hmm. So I understood these things. And my relationship with Puff was, you know, we had great fun personally. You know, we got along swell. But then some of the hiccups would be when it comes down to like business, especially business that's already, you know what I'm saying, mandated and already affirmed that this is how it goes, then it shouldn't be no problem. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just what happens in the business, but it never really tarnished my relationship with Puff. But like I said, I came into it for business. So when people try to like measure the capacity of our relationship, they try to look at it from the outside, like, yo, wasn't y'all cool, or wasn't y'all this? Yeah, we was all those things, but we did business first. You understand?
I seen him hit you when you got home. What did y'all speak yet?
Well, the thing is, I've been running around. He been running around. You know what I'm saying? And he been hitting me with these messages. I asked him, like, put me on these messages. They're like some self-destruct joints, like Mission Impossible. You can't even hit keep on a joint. It's like it just blows up. So, you know.
Oh, he be sending you the voice message. The voice message.
The voice
yeah,
notes.
you know, because the thing is,
the voice notes.
His thing is he don't want to be short, and I respect that, because I don't want to be short. Like, I had one of my favorite aunts passed away, and I hadn't called my cousin until yesterday because all this running around. I can't be short. I love that lady, and it's like when I talk to him, I want to sit down and actually talk to him. Right. So if this is his approach after 9 years, you know what I'm saying, almost 9 years, then matter of fact, longer than, now I actually spoke to Puff in like 2010 when I was living in Egypt, but we hadn't spoke since I came home. So, of course, I'm going to give him an opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to get his affairs in order. And when he want to call, we have a real good round table and so on and so forth, you know. And whatever comes from that, you know, hopefully in most cases, I believe it'd be good because, once again, I'm not into music. So our discussions would be more like, okay, catching up personally, but any business venture that might take place, maybe something, you know what I'm saying, that has nothing to do with music. So that'd be a whole new space for us, you understand? And that's kind of what I'm anticipating. So it's not like what everybody else may be thinking or maybe anticipating may come out of the conversation. Because when he reached out, I just seen how, you know, the people was just smashing them. And I'm like, wow, subhanAllah, like, man, this is crazy. Like, you know, and, you know, when you out the loop, you like, you don't even know how to take that. All I can refer back to is where I left off. I can't hone in to like how people perceive him today or what's going on or so on and so forth. As far as I know, he took a lot of losses. You know what I'm saying? He took a lot of losses lately. When I met him, he was taking losses.
So when you were in jail, you guys didn't speak that whole time? He didn't reach out or try to figure out how?
I didn't get to speak to him. I actually spoke to Christian before I spoke to him. Like, you know, I spoke to Christian since I've been home. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, when you trying to track down somebody, you know, and I know how he move, you know, he's a very dedicated dude. Like when he's moving, he's not like some of us that have, you know, we have it in our heart to keep the phone on. I used to answer my phone backstage. I'm talking about literally before I got on stage, I used to answer my phone. That's just me. I can't expect everybody to be like me. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
sometimes when people look at relationships or, relationships that people have, we assume that because one person may, implement, or one person might be adamant about exercising that relationship a certain way, and the other guy might not have the same methodology, you know what I'm saying? So he becomes a sucker, and the dude that's more adamant, he becomes the good guy, you know what I'm saying? So I never read things like that. So I never ran around with animosity in my heart, you know what I'm saying, for Puff. And in most cases, when people used to kind of shoot shots, I would defend them, because I'm going to be real, you know what I'm saying? One thing about me, if like the thing with Envy, all jokes and all that, but at the end of the day, you got to tell me the story, because, you know what I'm saying? And once,
Right.
I'm going to be just when I decide how I want to apply myself in that situation.
Why would
Now,
you
one
have
thing
any
that
animosity towards Diddy though? Like, why would anybody even think you had any animosity towards him? What would be the reason?
Well, because of the same thing that you mentioned. It's like, the bad boy curse, all these things. Like, these things are still festering in the air. So that is the platform for someone to have a misconception of what Loon relationship may be with Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Because of the previous hiccups he may have had with other people's relationships. Understand? That's not my situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've had, my reservations. I've had, certain times where I've been angered or frustrated, but that comes with the game, because I don't know men or nobody that, ascribes themselves to masculinity, walk around the rest of their life about to lose your hairline about something that happened 5-10 years ago. Like, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? It just don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like you pick up, you keep moving. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Harlem. That's what I learned. You know what I'm saying? The hustle don't stop. So it's like, okay, cool. That's what you want. I'm gonna go this way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's shift gears for a second and talk about you going to prison, because it feels like that was a really harsh sentence. And I remember last year they were petitioning for you to get a pardon from Donald Trump, and it was harsh. And I remember reading that the reason why you actually took that deal was because you had previous charges, and it would have been even worse if you didn't. So can we discuss what those charges were and what happened and how you ended up getting incarcerated for so long?
And also, were those charges, was what you were charged for, was that old stuff or was that new? Because I heard also that it was something that caught up with you as well.
Well, this is how it goes. And it's crazy because when I entered into the prison system, I really thought there was some uniqueness to my situation. But then I learned that there's ensembles of people in prison for the same thing. It's called ghost dope. Dope that don't even exist. So even if you were to file an evidentiary hearing, they would not be able to present the dope. You know what I'm saying? So my case was based on hearsay and ghost dope. So with me having 2 prior convictions, you know what I'm saying, and being a public figure, it's easy for a prosecutor to frame that up for a jury of your peers, so to say. You know what I'm saying? I was in Wilmington, North Carolina. Like, most of the people there retired. It's like the Golden Girls down there. So how you gonna convince these people that the evidence that they stacked upon you, is not, accurate? So basically, I had a very minimal role in a conspiracy, not knowing that I was involved in conspiracy, because it came from just a mere introduction. Like, Charlamagne, that's Angela Lee. You know what I'm saying? Angela Lee, that's Charlamagne. Check this out. Whatever y'all got going on, y'all good, y'all straight, you got each other number. All right, peace them out. Next thing you know, y'all engage in some criminal activity and y'all crash, right? So now while y'all sitting there smashing each other, you know what I'm saying, and y'all get y'all sentences and y'all sit up, Charlamagne or Angela Lee decide later on, I'm gonna throw my fishing rod back out there and see what I can catch. And that's what happened. These guys in this conspiracy, they were convicted and sentenced around 2009. I didn't get indicted in 2011. You know what I'm saying? I had left the country in 2010. I had been to 10 different countries while this so-called indictment was pending. So why didn't I get flagged? Why didn't I get snatched? You know what I'm saying? I'm moving around as a public figure. I'm giving speeches. All these joints is recorded and documented on YouTube. I'm not running. I'm not a fugitive and none of these things. But it's easy for them to, take all these elements and criminalize them. You know what I'm saying? Then put you in a position where now you're on trial for your life. So now with me having 2 prior convictions, the charge that I got carries 10 years of life. The first felony that I had enhances me to 20 to life. The second one, mandatory life. That's the trial tax. So you go to trial, Loon get mandatory life. You never see Loon again. Or Loon, you take these 14 years. even though you didn't get a dollar out of nothing. You had nothing to do, you know what I'm saying, in depth as far as the conspiracy outside of the minimal or minuscule role that I had. But that was just a break. That was just the only break that I had. So I ate it. You know what I'm saying? Went and sat down, like I made the most of the time. And that's really, you know, what it all boils down to. It's not a winded story. It's something that happens to a lot of dudes. Like, I mean, I done met young kids in here. And this is why I'm so adamant about prison reform. And this is basically what we're going to talk about, you know, in a nutshell, as far as like, what is Loon's present state? Like, what is he into now? You know what I'm saying? As far as something I'm wholeheartedly, you know, into right now is this injustice and this broken criminal system. So I'm talking about like you meeting kids in here, my son age, you know what I'm saying? 24, 20, something like that. I mean, this kid never had $10,000 in one setting. I'm talking about like at one time, lump sum. If you ask them the most money you ever had, it's like 10 bands, right? But how you get a leadership role? You know what I'm saying? How these people charge you and give you a leadership role, give you 35 years? You know what I'm saying? And he's young, he's oblivious. Right. You know what I'm saying? He's oblivious to the ramifications of what he was facing, what he accepted, and so on and so forth. It's going to take him 10 to 15 years of being in the prison system probably before he realized he needs to go to the law library and figure this stuff out. You understand? Because he's young. You know what I'm saying? Where do I exercise my youth? So he goes right and he indulges into the prison culture and actually probably makes the situation worse. But now you're running around with your people or crew, stabbing dudes, you know, it's getting worse and worse for you now. So the 30 is turning into more. So this is the situation, you know, that people don't understand. Like all the people that advocated for me, for instance, these are people, most of them, that's just compassionate about what's happening to minorities in the United States and disenfranchised African Americans being warehoused in prisons for the rest of their life, 20, 30, 40 years. So everything that they're advocating for on the outside is effective, but the recidivism rate still exists. Because inside the BOP, they've stripped out every program or every, you know what I'm saying, tool that can be utilized for a person to re-enter society, you know what I'm saying, not only to be relevant, but at least be competitive, you know what I'm saying? So if you don't have these contingencies put in place, when you come home, in most cases, you're going to make your little attempts to try to, you know, coexist with society as it is. And the minute you fail, or the minute you frowned upon, or the minute that, you know what I'm saying, you don't receive a warm embrace, you're going to resort back to what you know best. You understand? I've been in spots where I've seen dudes come home and come right back on a violation with a fresh new case. Just gave these people 12 years, coming back, now you got 20. So it's like, this is scary.
Right.
Can I ask you something?
It's a system that sets you up to fail because it's not even a real correctional institution. Like you go in that system and you become more savage.
Exactly.
And when you come home, you don't have no tools to get back on your feet at all.
Exactly. And at one time I heard that they used to have college courses. I actually completed one, which was contemporary logistics. Because, you know, I was into this whole thing with Jeff Bezos. Because, you know, Amazon's a logistic company. You know what I'm saying? FedEx is a logistic company. So I wanted to study import and export. Because, you know, my previous life in the street, we was doing import and export. We just didn't know we was doing logistics. You know what I'm saying? So now you look at it from a constructive standpoint, like, wow, this is actually the deal. You know what I'm saying? So that experience is kind of sprinkled in the BOP. Certain institutions exercise whatever liberal, you know what I'm saying, abilities they have to try to provide something. So now what you find is some inmates giving a case manager's addresses they really don't have so they can get moved to that prison. Like Petersburg, you know what I'm saying, Virginia, for example, they got the CDL, you get the license, you get the CDL license, and they'll take you out, actually let you drive the truck. So if you're over in the West Coast or somewhere, you're trying to get a CDL, you got to try to put in to get transferred to Petersburg. So it shows you that the efforts of the inmates who actually want good for themselves, look at the extent they got to go to, you know what I'm saying, they got to go through to get there. When this stuff should be BOP wide. Understand? Anywhere you land, it should be there for you. Because it's an opportunity that you want to choose for yourself. Because like he said, it's not correctional. There's nothing put in place to correct what was wrong. So they leave it solely up to you. You're up to your own whims and your own desires to figure this stuff out. You know,
I wanted to ask you, when we had Ebony K. Williams, she's an attorney, we had her on the Breakfast Club, and she was saying that if you didn't commit a crime, to never take a deal and that you should fight it. Did you ever think about fighting your case? Or was it ever a consideration for you, or did you just not feel like there was a way you could beat it?
I spent 2 years. I started off, I did 6 months in Belgium before I even got extradited. So I'm in the country, they speak Dutch and French, you know what I'm saying? And I'm locked down 23 hours a day. I got 1 hour rec.
So you got locked up overseas first. You got locked up overseas first.
Was it in
Interpol
Brussels?
grabbed me. Yeah, I was in Brussels. Interpol grabbed me, you know? So I guess basically the countries I was traveling to prior to Belgium probably didn't have an extradition treaty. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to Muslim countries. I'm in Malaysia. You know what I'm saying? I took my wife to Dubai for Ramadan. Me and my son, we went to Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I went and made Hajj. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking maybe these places don't have extradition with the United States. But as soon as I get to Belgium, NATO headquarters, I'm like, I'm hit. So Interpol grabbed me. So I spent 6 months there fighting my extradition. I went all the way to the Supreme Court in Belgium because when it started off, the United States had 40 days to produce an indictment. They didn't produce an indictment. So what they did, they used the old extradition convention, which gives them 75 days, and they came up with an indictment in 73 days. So my constitutional right was violated. Because after the 40 days, they were supposed to put me back on the plane, let me go back to Egypt, and let America do their job and find me, or whatever case may be. But I was basically kidnapped.
Right.
So now I get back stateside. I spend 2 years, almost, probably about 18 months in 4 different county jails because I'm fighting, I'm going to trial. I know I'm innocent, I'm going to trial. But then when you see how the cards start to stack up against you, I'm looking at my investigative reports, all these people that was interviewed, they saying, well, I heard Loon was the guy. I heard Loon was the guy next to the guy that, so this is hearsay. There's no concrete, tangible evidence that I was involved in the conspiracy.
Right.
But you don't want to take the chance of going to trial and these dudes get on the stand and the whole narrative just changed. He was the guy. You know what I'm saying? And I heard that he actually started all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that can happen. And once that happened, you're going to do life in prison. There's a reason why the feds have a 97% conviction rate. There's a reason why that's like that. There's a reason why that statistic is so strong. The only way that really would change if everybody went to trial. But the thing is,
right,
when you put 20 years in front of a person's face who may have been doing a crime expecting to just do 36 months, something's going to change. You know what I'm saying? The fear factor kicks in. The reality kicks in. 20 years from now, I thought I'd do 36 months for just carrying a gun. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you got drugs on you, now you get a 924C. You got a firearm in the furtherance of doing a crime. So now they enhance you. You know what I'm saying? Push your ears in. Now you finish. You know what I'm saying? So this is serious. And it's like, since I've been in prison, looking at every relevant matter that's taking place in this country right now, they all take precedence. It's like you can't even put one over the other. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like we can emphasize Black Lives Matter. This is a very noble cause, and it needs to be said, it needs to be exercised. But then you got criminal injustice. You know what I'm saying? You got the criminal justice system. Then you got police brutality. You got all of this stuff going on, and our hearts are being like snatched and spread in so many different directions, and the emotions is just, they're just growing and growing. But it's like right now we need to start talking about remedy. You know what I'm saying?
It's all intertwined, though. What you said is true. It's all intertwined. Prison reform.
It's all intertwined.
Criminal justice reform. Black Lives Mattering. It's police brutality. It's all.
Exactly. So now we've been here before. That's the crazy thing. See, I got 2 strikes against me. I'm a Muslim and I'm Black. So yeah, I get pulled over. I might be a little more scared than you, Charlamagne. You know what I'm saying? It's like I could be a terrorist and I could be the N-word. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is, if you look at the history of African Americans in history, we've been here before. We've been to this pinnacle where our voices get heard, the emotions start to shake, and they spread and they reach the hearts of people who are not of color, right? But now who's going to emerge and bring about the remedy? Who's going to talk about the cure? You understand? Because as much as we want people to understand and feel where we're coming from, as much as people want to, impose or instill legislation that protects these rights. If you ask me, there's already things legislated that protects these rights. But if you don't change the hearts of the people who actually, facilitate this stuff or impose these laws, then it really doesn't matter. You could change the whole Constitution. You understand? If you hate me, there's no way we're going to find any reconciliation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? If your heart is not going to allow you to do it.
Absolutely. That's why there's no justice in the prison system, no justice in the courtroom, no justice when you get pulled over by police. That's why it's all intertwined.
And that's horrifying. Like, how do you explain that to your small children? You know what I'm saying? You got to keep your older children close to you. Like, since I've been home, I haven't been nowhere without my son.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't go nowhere without him. I respect T.I. Go everywhere with your family. Like, you got to, because
absolutely.
Wolves look for that loose sheep. You know what I'm saying? That one that go grazing grass way too far. That's the one the wolf be looking for. But if we stay in packs, preferably your family, you know what I'm saying? Because it's an obligation for the man to protect his family. He's a shepherd over his flock. So a lot of these things conform, with my faith. And, I'm not a politician. I'm not a person that I'm not partisan, none of that. I'm just a Muslim. And the obligation for me to enjoin what's good and forbid what's evil is something I have to implement. So when I see injustices, I try to correct these things or whatever, capability or methodology I can use. But as far as going in depth with the politics of it, like, that stuff is too messy, because I might have spent the whole hour out of the whole time I was locked up in the law library. Because I used to just see, like, this is some split tongue stuff. Because this same language that's used in this particular case can be used to get you knocked off, and then you can get in prison and use the same language to try to get out. Right. So it's like, you know what I mean? So what is the real value of these laws? They're man-made laws. You know what I'm saying? So it's rough out here, man. It's rough.
You know what? Most recently, while you were locked up, was the George Floyd protests happening even inside the prisons. And I know they had the prisons on lockdown. So what was that like for you?
Well, we was all in the TV room chilling. We just seen a whole bunch of police running across the grass. And next thing you know, they locked everything down. And they even shut down the computers. Because one thing about this whole, this movement to, like, inmates trying to take initiative to fight their way out of prison comes from using the tools that we're given to network with other inmates and other prisoners and so on and so forth. So it becomes a collective. And they knew that at the time when this George Floyd thing is going on, some people have converted their emails into text services where you can actually send an email directly to a phone, opposed to the 30, emails they allow you to have. You understand? And then they handed out 500 minutes a month instead of the normal 300 minutes we had, and it was free. So, inmates is taking these tools to try to, file motions in court for compassionate release, like myself, or implement, exercising the CARES Act to get home confinement because of the COVID. And this was already in motion. So then when the George Floyd thing came, it became another overwhelming wave of, necessity to, like, get some justice inside. So while you worrying about us breaking up the prison and all that, no, we're just scared. We're just scared. We're watching TV, all we getting is statistics of people who are dying from COVID. You understand? We in places, I'm in a low facility, I'm in a low security joint, so it's open cubicles, like an office space. You know what I'm saying? Like Wolf of Wall Street, it's open. It's just like, you ever seen how there's scene in there with it's open like that. So how could you social distance in an environment like that?
Right.
So the place I just left had the whole complex had an outbreak.
Wow.
Yeah. Now mostly the pens and the medium, the higher levels, they going. So like when the George Floyd thing popped off, I'm pretty sure they just start snatching people who wasn't a color and just going to work. Because these guys in these pens and mediums, they live there. they're gonna be there for the rest of their life. So the dynamic there is different. The police are more grateful than when you get to the lower security, they become jerks. You know what I'm saying? Because they have, the upper hand. But when you're in them pins and the mediums, inmates telling you, I'll let you go home. Yeah, I'll let you go home at night. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going home because you going home. We let you go home because you visiting at our house. You know what I'm saying? So the dynamic changed. So you definitely gotta, censor these dudes. You definitely gotta lock these dudes up because these dudes right here gonna pop. But everything that's implemented in the BOP is BOP-wide, so it just goes all the way down the ladder. So us being in low security, a lot of dudes there, they don't want no smoke. They trying to go home. They close to the door. It's like they ain't trying to buck. But because of their fear, they treated us the same way they treated the people in the pens and the mediums.
I get it.
Like we know you, we know y'all on the low, but you are black, right? You do have some feelings about this man getting his knee on his neck, right? Mm-hmm. So y'all gotta go lock down too,
I want to talk to you about your family a little bit, man. Clearly your family did your bid with you.
No question. Every family's doing biz with it, with incarcerated inmates. Not just my family, everybody's family, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't know you was married when you went in.
Yeah, I've been with my wife, for 25 years, Mm-hmm. She's been my best friend, and when I accepted Islam, a couple months after that, because she's always been her own person, she's seen the changes in me. She started to be curious. She started to look at the religion and seeing that this is the thing that I have to attribute to his change. I can't look at it like, as anything else. So that curiosity led her to accept Islam. And my son actually our son actually beat her to it, and not even on some that's my dad. He took his time. Because we used to be in the masjid and he told me one day, Dad, when I'm 15, I'm gonna take my shahada. He was 12 then. But he ended up taking the shahada anyway, around 12, 13 years old. So it's having them in my life and having them, their aid and support is what actually keeps a person sane. When you don't have a support system, have someone to remind you that you're loved and you're appreciated. You can easily fall victim of the prison culture, whether from being, the suspect or the victim. You can find yourself entrenched in the prison culture, and that becomes your new family. That becomes your new place of refuge. You know what I'm saying? But when you have something of value outside, it's like your body's in there, but your heart and your mind is outside. So long as you have that wedge between where your heart, your mind is versus where your body is, you can survive. You can actually survive. Because like Charlamagne said, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, it's designed to destroy you. It's designed to destroy you.
How did you be in a way weaken or strengthen your family dynamic?
Alhamdulillah, it never really weakened my family. We human beings, we had our moments, you know what I'm saying? And we had our moments. Some days, my wife would be exhausted, tired, and I could hear it. Because it's the chemistry we have. It's things that just don't have to be said. You feel it. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to get creative. Now you got to find a way, to aid and assist and try to, dispel that emotion, and replace it with something meaningful and something that, tranquil, and then vice versa. So this becomes the method in how we, keep each other strong. Because if we all falter, then you actually have the right to say, this is weakening us. You understand? So most people, you can have just one financial issue and it just breaks the whole thing down because that was the glue. That was the adhesive. But in my family, that wasn't the glue. Our hearts were glued together. So when certain things were removed or certain things were challenged, long as those hearts stay united, you can survive.
Did they ever get upset that you took the plea later on? Like, Dad, you shouldn't have took the plea, or Dad, you should have gave it a shot, or your wife ever say, babe, you should have did this?
I'm gonna tell you a funny story. My son, right, he wrote me a letter. He was like, Dad, I understand, you had to do what you got to do. And, I didn't want you to really, I don't think you should, hurt somebody else to help yourself. And I'm like, what is he talking about? So I had to call, like, what are you talking about? You took a plea, right? I said, you know what that mean, kid? You got it twisted. Like, he actually thought I folded. I'm his hero. He know his fault. He know that's not even in my DNA.
Right.
But because he didn't understand the language, he thought I flipped on somebody. I'm like, no, dog, I took a
He thought you was telling. He thought you told her already.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was tripping, like, because it was a letter, and I'm like, I can't see his face. I don't know what type of, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's attached to this letter. Like, you know what I mean? I got to call him. And I remember beelining to the phone. I'm looking at dudes like, you need to use the phone because it's in my face. Like, I ain't gonna tell you to move. I can't tell a grown man get off the phone, but you see it in my face, man. In a minute, something gonna shake. I gotta get on that phone. So I called him, and I had to explain it to him. I said, nah, kid, that's not what happened, man. Now my wife, she was like, I know you. You know what I'm saying? And I know you're trying to go to trial, but do you think that's what you want to do? You know what I'm saying? And once again, this is somebody that knows me. You know what I'm saying? Knows my contentment for what I believe and what I stand on. You understand? This is not a keep it real move. Like, this is me. I'm a man.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I got to wear something, I got to wear something. But at the end of the day, when you have people that love you and they concerned and they talking to you in this manner, you have to make a decision that's not selfish. You have to make a decision, you know what I'm saying, that conforms with you understanding that is an impact and effect on someone else. So, nah, babe, I ain't gonna try. You know what I'm saying?
Is Islam what kept you mentally healthy in prison?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell you no lie. If I did this bit as Loon, I probably won't come home.
Wow.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you, yo. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I mean, I used to have, I had some issues in there. I had to clean up sometime. Because that's what it is. You know what I mean? But it's done.
What issue did you have? What issue did you have? Was it one of those things they just automatically thought you were sweet because of the record you put out? What issues did you have in it?
Well, that's always been an issue, to be honest with you, Envy. I caught more cases while I was on Bad Boy than I did when I was in the street. I kid you not. Y'all remember the joint the House of Blues? I got caught the attempt murder. I'm you know what I'm saying? It's like it was. I don't even want to go into the list. Like I'm glorifying this stuff.
I'm gonna tell you my favorite Loon story. My favorite Loon story is Loon walked in the barbershop with a shovel.
Oh my goodness, man!
Somebody with a shovel in the barbershop.
Loon was crazy.
Like, what?
Yo, but this is what I'm trying to say. We don't have to, really go into depth with all the detail. But the reality of it is, if I did this bit as Loon, the chances of me like returning home to the people who are, like you said, doing the bid with me, it wouldn't have turned out that way. I mean, the law knows best. I don't know the future, but I just know that based on the culture, the environments I've been in, having to dispel, I didn't let nobody call me Loon, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And other people that knew me in prison and knew I got down, they would correct and do it real quick. Nah, he ain't know that. Don't call him that, please, man. Like, cause I remember the first time I played basketball, right? And they had a dude on the mic, like Tango and Cash at Rucker, like he on the mic, like, yeah, he's like, okay, we got stanky leg. He going out of he doing all this. He's like, okay, and Loon, I just dropped the ball. Walked straight up to the table. So the whole rec, y'all like, what are you about to do? I put my hand over the mic. I said, yo, my man, my name is Amir. You can call me Air Moses, anything. I mean, like, have fun with it, but don't call me Loon, yo. He was looking at me like, all right, let's play ball. So like, I'm right back in it. Like it was nothing, but it's just like, it was something that I knew I had to check at the door because you don't know Loon. You never got to meet Loon, dog. I came here as Amir. You meeting Amir. So get acquainted with Amir. You missed your opportunity to meet Loon. And quite frankly, I probably wouldn't even said nothing to you. Probably when
how should we address you?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
We've been calling you the whole time. My
no, but listen though. This is the thing. See now, I've had consistent support, from the Muslim community all around the world. And their appreciation for what took place in my life and my acceptance of Islam, they accepted everything that came with Islam. So they called me Amir. You know what I'm saying? Out of respect and, you know, not really reminding me of who I was. Now, you have people that only identify with me as Loon. You know, such as y'all. Y'all know me for that. Y'all know me as Loon. I'm not appalled by that. But I think that if a person gets the opportunity to learn who Amir is, then it's free will. You can choose to adjust, but I'm not going to ignore you because you called me Loon. It was just something I felt I had to do while I was in the prison system. What I don't want to do is get familiar, because in the prison system, you know, dudes fabricate their life. You know, like I said, dude might have all his stuff in the shoebox. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about all his stuff, his jewelry, his gun, his money, all it fit in the shoebox. But in the feds, it fit in the Brinks truck. He might have had a Honda. You know what I'm saying? There's nice little shoes on the little radio. But in prison, it was a Wraith. So it's like, you don't give dudes, you know what I'm saying, who this is their method of getting through, is fabricating their life and so on and so forth for trying to build a name in prison. You know what I'm saying? But you come back and it's like, you know, you booby from, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or if somebody know you for, oh, that's thing.
I got a question. When Charlamagne said something, right? And I always wanted to know this. I think I was doing Miss Jones when this happened, right? Charlamagne said the shovel incident. And I always wanted to know, where did Amir get the shovel from? Because at the time, there was no Home Depot uptown.
That was Loon. That was Loon.
That was Loon. That was not Amir.
Where did Loon get the shovel from? There was no Home Depot uptown. There was no Lowe's, no Walmart, no Target. Where did you get the freaking shovel from?
Now, y'all know that every business in New York has shovels nearby because we get 6 or 7 feet of snow. I just happen to know where they were. That's all. Everybody else come to the barbershop get a haircut. You know what I'm saying? But this barbershop happens to be sometimes my office, you know, sometimes where I conduct things, sometimes where I get to take a load off, kick my feet up, leave the block, you know, go to the barbershop and engage in, you know, all of the stuff that happens in the barbershop, sports arguments, such. You know, it's a place of recreation. So I knew where everything is at. You know, everybody else just wasn't thinking about it. So one thing about me, I'm gonna assess, you know, my surroundings, and I'm gonna, if necessary, utilize what's around me. You know what I'm saying?
I saw somewhere that you're gonna potentially be doing a movie or a series about your life. Is that happening?
I'm definitely working on a book. You know what I'm saying? I'm working with a great friend of mine I've known for 20 years. Her name is Kim Osario. And I believe,
Kim.
You know what I'm saying? I believe she's an excellent writer. She always has been. And I told her this story. That's how she know I got a memory like an elephant. It's like when we were doing the Harlem World project, you know, Mace was very, very, very relevant at the time. You know what I'm saying? But she saw something in me and decided to write about me. And I felt like that was something I've always appreciated from her. It's like, wow, it wasn't even my shot yet. It wasn't even my chance yet. And I'm actually grouped up, you know what I'm saying? But for you to extract me from that situation and put emphasis and put a light on me, and she did it so creative that it just went through customs like nobody even paid it no mind, but me, really. I think I probably was the only person in the world that really appreciated it. So that always been the defining factor of how I've always perceived her, always dealt with her. She's never changed. And like me coming home from, you know, this stint, y'all know how it is, especially now. I didn't have my Instagram joint hacked in like less than 4 days. And I'm like, I don't know.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's you know what I'm saying? So it's like instinctively you're going to cling to people you trust because you're coming back into a shark infested ocean and it's like the people you trust. So me sitting down and just opening up, and then we do all the editing later. You know what I'm saying? But sitting in front of a stranger, it probably wouldn't be a good book because I'd be holding back. Right. You know what I'm saying? But with her, I could just pour it all out, and then we'll see what's, you know, absolutely necessary and what absolutely is not necessary, and so on and so forth. And then maybe people can learn, you know, seeing all the multiple transitions in my life and where I came to. And like I said, I'm not appalled if you fell in love with this segment of my life. That's cool. But the goal is to get you to see where I'm at now, because that's the time we living in. We living in the present. You understand? Mm-hmm. So if I can go through chronological fashion and just show you everything that, you know, goes with, you know, who I am, how I've grown, how I've changed, and so on and so forth, that'd be the book. Now the documentary, you know, I want to emphasize prison reform. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, this is also a journey through my life. But I want people to tell the story. Because I actually tried to write a book while I was in there. It's like, I ain't be honest with you. Like, I love myself, but I'm not overwhelmed with me. You know what I'm saying? So like when you're writing about yourself, it's like, this is me again. Like, I can't keep writing about me. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not into me like that. Like, but I can engage somebody to say, like just now, y'all started off engaging me like, yo, what was the story with? Okay, I could fall right in and that's my weakness. Like if you open up a door, then I can, you know what I'm saying, I can express. But I'm not the person to jump out there and like, you know, promote myself, self-promote myself, sell myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like and that's why a lot of people never even knew I can talk. Because being, like I said, once again, being around Puff, he's doing all the talking. He's doing all, you know what I'm saying? He's the, you know, he's the ultimate, he's the alpha in the room. So you didn't even know Loon could talk. I just thought I was like, you know, yeah, shorty, like, you know. Yeah. So everybody think I was just on some smooth stuff. Like I'm just this hopeless romantic. I'm this box of chocolate and rose dude. So like I just got one look. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was saying. I'm running into all these situations because everybody think I just had one look.
Sweet. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I think you got hacked because on Instagram, I think Mike Worski, he probably sent you a link and said he's gonna offer you some of his Powerball earnings. And you probably
I had somebody that was doing admin for me. Once again, somebody I trust and love. And, you know, he's a little green to this because he, you know, it's my Muslim brother. We studied in Egypt together. He moved out to Riyadh. So like in Saudi Arabia, like, you know, if you drop your wallet, man, you come back 3 hours later, it might be a person standing there where you picked it up, just waiting for somebody to come back. So when you used to being around honest people all day, every day, Instagram is definitely not a place for us. You know what I'm saying? Nope. And this is the same thing. I used to do the same thing in prison. Like I leave stuff. I mean, like spot I just left. I left my whole watch on the table. And like the G-Shock I had is impossible to get in prison. So I had a nice little joint. It's like this is the prison rollie right here. And I'm like, Puerto Rican dude say, oh, Poppy, go watch. Go watch, Poppy. No good. You leave it right. You no good. And I'm looking at him like, my heart's saying I should let you keep it. You know?
Right.
Let me get that because ain't nobody else got that joint. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you very much.
I got a couple more questions for you, man. Did Mace have hard feelings about you being down with Diddy?
Nah, I don't think so. I think at that time Mace had found what was good for Mace. You know, Bad Boy, he did that. So if Bad Boy wasn't good for him no more, then he moved on and did what Mace was doing. So now it was Loon turn. I don't think he had no problems with it. And in some cases, you know, I actually learned certain things from Mace about dealing with Puff, from the competitiveness that comes with, once again, two artists. But y'all literally seen it in the video. It was like they snatching each other by the face and pulling each other. They trying to get screenshots. Like it looked like it was rehearsed, but they was going for it. You know what I'm saying? They was going for it. So it's like I learned that. Because I'm gonna tell you something funny. You know, this is funny. Because like we first did I Need a Girl, right? If you remember the first like 15 seconds of my verse, you just see Puff and Usher. It's like I'm rapping and you don't even see me. It's like they took like the first, you know what I'm saying? And then it pans and it's like, okay, Loon, I'm standing there. And it's funny because when I seen what they were wearing, I went and got the brightest jacket I could get. You know, these are things I was learning, like, okay, I gotta pop. You know what I'm saying? I gotta try to pop. If I put on black, then I'm like, you know, I might look like a minion or something. But let me go find this bright, burnt orange, suede Gucci, you know, motorcycle jacket, and you know what I'm saying? I learned. Then when you see in part two, you see me, one time with one scene, I just like kind of stuck my head out, stuck it back in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm learning. Like, you know, this is what you gotta do with a guy that has such an overwhelming presence. So like, that's what I'm saying, is like, it was never like a hardship trying to get what's mine. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what the business was about. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, I don't think he ever had no feelings about like, nah. I think where he was at, he was in church. He was doing what he wanted to do. He do what felt good to him and his family. And I ain't never had no problem with that either.
When you sit back and look at a lot of things that happen to artists on Bad Boy, including yourself, do you think it's any validity to the Bad Boy curse?
Nah, I don't believe in that stuff. I believe that, you know, Qadar Allah, you know, Allah's decree, you know, he does what he wills. You know, he's the best of planners. And we all know that. because y'all God-fearing people, so y'all know that we all passengers. The problem is some of us think we driving, but the reality of it is we all passengers. And if you submit to that, then that's what a Muslim is. A Muslim is one who submits to the will of Allah or submits to the will of God. So based on that, I believe that what took place is there's a very overwhelming shock value, especially back in those times. You know what I'm saying? Those were the days of the screaming fan. Like, these kids talk to and I like forgive me for like going back because I told you 12 years. I don't know really none of these new guys. Okay, I know about Drake, so it's like something like that. Like, back in our days, if you saw one of us because of the lack of access media, yeah, you might get somebody to shake, fall out, like, oh my, you know what I'm saying? It was a year of screaming fans, so it was like those were different times. So like now, you following the person. So you watching him go to the store, you watching him play with his dog, you watching, their kids, like you all in these people's lives. So the shock value is gone. So the point is, with Puff and these artists that's exposed to his life, and almost by default, you want that. You know what I'm saying? You might have lost sight of your own mission because it's like you see it now. So now when it's handed down to you, how you supposed to act? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Jamal Barrow, Sean was 19. People keep forgetting that. Sean was 19. You know what I'm saying? Sean crashed Mercedes-Benz, you know what I'm saying? Killed his cousin. Like, yeah, he was young, wild, way too much money, way too fast. It just happened so quick. And we don't think about that. Even with sports, you know what I'm saying? It's a kid that was playing till his toes come out of his shoe. Now you're gonna turn around and give him $80 million. You expect him to act a certain way. They don't get nurtured.
Sean killed his cousin.
Yeah, I think you in his first car accident or something, his cousin died in a car accident. If I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting old too, Charlamagne.
Yeah.
But I think people don't really take that in consideration, that people that go from zero to the pop, and then you kind of on your own. Now I'm keeping it real with you. Now Puff, now he done brought you to the well. He's not the cultivator, the groomer, you know what I'm saying? He's not the nurturer. He feels like he's done enough by doing what he did. And I agree, because I'm from the street. Ain't nobody really gonna give you more than that. Only the people that's too emotionally attached and think we homies now, you get caught up in that situation. I know who my sandbox dudes is, you know what I'm saying? I ain't never left them. So me coming in this situation, I'm grateful. I'm more grateful. Like, okay, he passing the torch. He's showing me how to get where I gotta get. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I don't think it's no curse though. Just in a nutshell, I don't think it's no curse. I think that we just all was young. We all was just exposed to too much. We all got some money too fast. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's a lot. Right. It's a lot. Because the thing is, with us as people, we don't invest in mental health. We really don't, yo. We walking around this joint nuts. Like we burnt out. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like nobody think. And you know what's crazy? We accept those as that's his personality. That's Boogaloo. Yo, come on, let's go around the corner and get old man Boogaloo to dance. Boogaloo is burnt out, man. Boogaloo got something going on that you won't quite understand. But we'll get a kick out of giving Boogaloo $1 and he do a little dance or something. It's like, yeah, that's Boogaloo. That's mental health. Like we don't really address that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because we live through it. You know what I'm saying? We fight through it. We push through it. We live through it. If that happened to some other people,
white people,
they get on the couch, B. They gonna be on the couch.
That's why I'm so quick to tell brothers, man, go to therapy. Go sit down with a grief counselor.
For real.
Get you a sacred purpose coach, man. Like, figure this out. Figure out what's going on up here.
It's needed. Because I've been having a hard time. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm laying in the bed now that my back felt like it didn't deserve. I've been sleeping on steel. You know what I'm saying? My back, like, yo, you're getting set up, B. I'm telling you, don't get too comfortable, man, because it's like I'm used to sleeping on my back. I literally sleep on my back all night. So I can hear the keys go by when the officers do a round. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that's PTSD.
Right.
You got dudes coming home, jumping in the shower with their shower shoes. Like, dog, you home. You bugging. Because you coming back with a stain. I don't care how strong you is. You coming back with some kind of stain. You know what I'm saying?
Emotional
So
scars.
exactly, that's PTSD. You should get a check for that. It should be a check waiting for you. Like your startup coming home should start off with a PTSD check.
That's one of the things I want to connect you to. I want to connect you with the folks at Reform. You're probably not familiar with Reform, but they're an organization. It's like Jay-Z and Meek Mill and Van Jones, a bunch of people, and that's what they are trying to do.
Jessica Jackson. I'm familiar with them because a lot of them, they signed my petition. Like, they signed my petition.
That's how that all
Alex
happened
Johnson.
last year.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I want that to be a part of the Reform initiative. That just that whole mental health aspect of it, because you can still be locked up here when you come home.
But that's what goes back to my initiative. My initiative is to try to start from entry. Once you go into prison, you know what I'm saying? There should be contingencies put in place to shield you from the prison culture. If your intention is to come into prison and start reform from day one, there should be psychological evaluations. But this man just got sentenced to 168 months. You'd be a fool to just give him a bedroll and tell him, yo, you sleeping over there and just leave him like that. Man, that man is a wreck. You know what I'm saying? He should be helped from that moment. You know what I'm saying? Besides checking his vitals and all of that, if he's healthy, whatever, you should be checking that man's mind state.
That's right.
Do we have a faith or a belief, something that's going to sustain him? You know what I'm saying? Then you start programming, you know what I'm saying, just, contingent upon, growth and elevating within the prison system. And then the last 24 months before you release, you should be doing intense programming that removes you completely from the prison culture. I'm talking about no connection. Because this is one of the programs I got in mind. Because I've seen it for myself. Like when you program in prison, you could program and still lollygag. You can go to a program and then go, you know what I'm saying, and still use the phone or, you know what I'm saying, go smoke. A lot of dudes smoking K2, whatever the case may be. It's a lot of, everything that's on the street is in there. So it's easy for a dude that's, stuck in the street to come to prison and be stuck in the street. And what I call it is the long 2 days. You know what I'm saying? You come into prison on some BS and you leave on some BS. And the years that were spent in between, they have no value. You just did a long 2 days.
Wow.
You understand? So if you don't come up with something, you know what I'm saying, to combat the very first day, which is your entry, you know what I'm saying, and repel what comes in between here, and then you have to exit with something that has you ultimately prepared to re-enter to society, and not only, like I said, be relevant, but be competitive.
That's right.
Relevant is not enough. I don't think. For somebody that has ample time, he should come out and be competitive. Right. You got way much time to think, way much time to plot, way much time to put stuff together. And if you had some assistance from people who are already in position to do that, you will come out and be a monster. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's right.
But if you leave me dumb, I know when I'm coming back, they're going to keep my bed warm. I'm going right back to the same unit, too. I done seen dudes come back to the same unit. I mean, you just left these dudes. I mean, at least send me to another jail. Nah, you're going back to the same prison that you violated from or you was released from, and they're sending you back to the same unit with the same case manager and all of that type of stuff, like you never left.
And it's by design. That's what the 13th Amendment was. The 13th Amendment was we're going to free these slaves, but we know that they don't have no skill set. They don't have no money. They're going to go out there and commit crimes, and then we're going to
get free labor
and get free labor all over again.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because basically, when the Emancipation and Proclamation, the freeing of the slaves, so to say, they needed a way to get the economy booming again. So the 13th Amendment says every man is free until he commits a crime. So they exploited this 13th Amendment. I actually seen the documentary on Netflix. I thought it was amazing.
Ava DuVernay.
And I tried to get the dude at Recreation that plays the movies, because it's rated in ours. It's not rated. But because he knew what it would do as far as educating the inmates in there of their present state, companies like Unicorn, because that's like the highest paid job you can get in prison. So they the 3-digit dudes. They fly. They get 3 digits. They get a couple $100. But every other job, I mean, you could do landscaping. You can make like $10 a month. I'm talking about you cutting grass. I mean, they make it a beautiful presentation. So when the regional come through, the director come through, it just looks like, you know, wow, beautiful prison. But you getting $10. So it's like, that's why I say, for people who doing these little odd jobs, laundry and all that, $30 a month, working in the kitchen for $30, $20 a month, folding napkins for $5 a month. I seen dudes in the kitchen that fold napkins for $5 a month, right? If you can do that for 5-10 years, if you give this guy a chance, you understand, when he come home, you give this guy a chance. He's done this for nothing, literally nothing. You can't even add up $5 a month, right? Times 12 and multiply that by 20. You know what I'm saying? He'll be lucky to just buy his daughter some college books or something. Like, it's nothing came out of that whole duration of 20 years of working for $5 a month, right?
Right.
But the fact that he's consistent in doing it because he wants to stay out the way. He don't want to get no trouble. I don't want to be in no problems. I'm trying to go home, man. So anyway, I can keep myself occupied.
Yeah.
You don't think if you gave this guy a chance, a real chance, not a spoon feed, not a shot with a leash, like a real shot, set him up, you know what I'm saying? Like Billy Ray Valentine. Do him like that one time. Give him the Billy Ray Valentine treatment.
Let him learn a trade in prison. You know what I'm saying? Give him some real job training courses, man. Prepare them for jobs of the 21st century. Yo, teach them how to code in prison. Why not?
Check this out. Yeah, they're doing that in state prisons. See, state prisons are more liberal. Like I said, you know, they're flexible enough to implement these things in state prisons. But anything that's put in the BOP has to be BOP wide, right? So with that being said, the guy that, you know what I'm saying, should be given a chance, even the guys that do trades, just to expound over what you said, they can have 14,000 hours of experience, right? Get an apprenticeship and all of those things. But when he comes out and try to do HVAC, they're looking at him like you only fix heaters in prison. You never really did HVAC. So they'll demean and belittle his whole effort. You understand? He went to the higher echelon of achievement in that field, in the prison system, and when he come home, it's like he's never did anything.
Right.
All you did was fix microwaves.
Right.
That's how they look at him. You know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, the same course that you teach a person on the street, because you got to have the NCCER certification to even do a trade now. It's federal law now. You can't be the backyard Bob no more. Backyard Bob, you can just pull up and he can fix your car. But if the police catch him doing that and he's not certified, he's going to prison. Right. You know what I'm saying? And from what I understand, this is from like Hurricane Sandy. Mm-hmm. When the crane collapsed, the guy that was operating the crane, he was experienced, but he wasn't certified. So who do we sue now? You understand? Right. So now they made this condition, it's called core curriculum. You got to complete that in order to do a trade. So in order to do electrician, you know what I'm saying, HVAC, you know, welding, whatever, you have to complete this course first. So look at what these dudes is doing. They're going through every formality that's required for them to be accepted when they come home, but when they come home, they're not accepted. Really? How broken is that? Yep.
What the system is definitely broken. What's your relationship like with Boo? I see Boo with you since soon as you touched down.
Boo was my first, like, me and Boo go back. I'm talking about before Khan. Like, I just spoke to Khan the other day too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know his whole family. Their brother Muhammad used to be the wonder child. He was the one that was going, you know, leave the family and blow up. When I was working, I was doing my music, I used to get beats from Muhammad. Akon was the producer of the family. Because, you know, he come from a musical family. His father is a, you know, world-renowned jazz, you know what I'm saying, musician from Senegal. So they actually, this is in them. So it's Muhammad, is Akon, his name is Loon, you got Boo, you got Omar. So like, I know all his brothers. So me and Boo always been tight. When I was running around Atlanta, I moved to Atlanta like late 1999, 2000. So I was in Atlanta 10 years before I left the country. So I used to run everywhere with Boo. Run up in the clubs, you know what I'm saying? We trying to make our rounds. So our relationship, and he Muslim, you know what I'm saying? So now it's been, you know, another level added to our relationship. We brothers for real now. We used to pretend we was brothers. You know what I'm saying? Boo used to always tell me, that's my brother. Yeah, that's my brother, man. You know what I'm saying? He just was in the sun a little longer than me, but that's my brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I seen as soon as you was home, Boo was with you, and I'm like, damn, what's that about?
When you ever speak to Boo, ask him what I call him. Nobody in the world calls him this. I call him Ferrari Black.
You call him what?
Ferrari Black.
Ferrari Black.
Ferrari Black.
Yeah. Ferrari Black, B. That's my man. You know what I'm saying? I love him. And, when I came home, he gave me a cushion to fall on. You know what I'm saying? It was like, whatever you want, whatever you're trying to do, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, it ain't just yada, yada, yada. He doing it, and he did it. So, I love him for that. Yeah.
He gave you something? He handed you that brown paper bag when you got home?
Nah, it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more like, because the brown paper bag, let's be fair now, you know what I'm saying? The handoff doesn't have nothing intimate to it. It's nothing connected to it. It's just a, I did that. I ain't got to worry about Loon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to worry about him. You know what I'm saying? I did that. I paid homage. I'm straight. But with him, it's more so like, take your time. What is it you really trying to do? So everything I'm speaking about now is what I'm trying to do.
Right, so, that's more important.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I could get the bag myself.
Yeah, he put you in position.
Man, yeah. And that's what we got to do for each other. See, like, that's one of the things that affect us. And I'm going to say this without, being perceived that this is something crazy, but the reality of it is some of us are Black when it's convenient. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are Black when it's convenient. Now, it's something that we can't go nowhere without. We Black. You know what I mean? But Angela Yee, she works at Neiman Marcus now. She get 20% off. That's my dog now. Right? Mm-hmm. But when Angela working at McDonald's, it's like, I get my own fries. I ain't tripping. But Neiman Marcus, right? 40% off, and there's a discount already on the sticker. Angela, what up? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And it's like that's one of our flaws. Because I'm gonna tell you this, from the prison system, when the Mexicans get together, they gonna transform. Like if you watch them they work out, they doing 1,000 burpees. Like literally synchronized. They look like synchronized swimmers in the United States, in the Olympics. When they doing lunges around the whole track behind each other in one line. Like they move like they real militant. You know what I'm saying? Us, it's when it's convenient. Because it's broken up. You got the North Carolina car, you got the New York car, you got the Georgia car. But then when there's a race riot, it's convenient. We all Black. You know what I'm saying? But before that, we scumbagging each other. Mm-hmm. So, these are things, we got a long way to go. And that's why I said, like, this moment right now gives us the opportunity to seize this moment and correct what we can before the moment is gone.
Right. Yes, I agree.
We got to face what we can.
I respect you, Black man. And, any way that I can help you, tell your story and help this next generation, I'm there. And I also respect that you letting your grades flourish because you mentioned Ferrari Black.
No question.
If you notice, our brother DJ Envy got the Ferrari Black Beijing all in his bed right now.
It's not Beijing and it's not Ferrari Black.
It's definitely Beijing. Okay, me, I got the grades going.
Yeah. What's up, brother?
Yeah, you got to let them flourish, though, Charlamagne. I mean, that's a part of growth, you know what I'm saying? Right. That shows you got experience, you got some wisdom. But see, Envy, I'm going to tell you, my man, Envy, you know what I'm saying? And I was a victim of the 80s. I really ain't like light-skinned dudes, but you my man.
Oh, gosh.
I'm serious.
Hey, I'm the same way.
We just talked all this togetherness.
Both of y'all. They just talked about all this. We got to stick together, and both of y'all. He got stabbed in the head, you happy.
I mean, long live Bobby Brown, dog.
Shout out to Albie Shaw.
I'm telling you, at that time, you had Christopher Williams and you had Albie Shaw, dog.
That's right, Christopher Williams, Albie Shaw.
That's why I love when you had Hev.
You had Hev, man. Y'all had Hev, B. Y'all had the
first. And we had Hev. Absolutely right.
Now y'all got Steph Curry. What you gonna do?
Goodbye, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Amir.
I know, right?
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning, man.